I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the cowboy man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
His father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses because it would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I'm your host, Wayne, joined, as always, by my partner in crime, the lovely and talented Miss Tiffany. What's up, ma'am?
I'm excited to be here. I wasn't here Saturday for our members only.
Everybody was worried about you. Well, just go ahead and tell them you were just lazy.
You're so full. No, Zach was home, and so we were like having this really good conversation, and so we're like both trying to talk. Like, you remember the micro machine guy who would do the little micro mini machine cars and how fast he would talk? Well, that's how we were trying to get everything in, because after the show was over, he would be in bed, and then the next morning I'd see him for like maybe 10 minutes, and then he would be gone again. So Wayne let his human show and gave me the night off so I could talk to Zach at a normal pace.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. It was nice to have a conversation with him.
You got a Kaylee Duran in here. Who is that?
Yeah, that's my eldest. Now,
why is this the first time we've seen her?
I don't know, because I tell them about the show. So... But I was on the phone with her tonight, and she was like, man, you always have a show. I said, we have a show every Tuesday and every Saturday.
Well, glad you can make it, eldest Duran daughter. All righty. Anything interesting going on? I know you got all the legal stuff that you can't talk about, but anything else?
I mean, I can absolutely let you guys know that everything is moving in a proper direction. I can say that.
But you can't give any details about the dogs or anything?
I can't. Nope. Not yet.
I didn't know if that one was still around, but if you can't.
Yep, I can't.
Okay.
That's kind of I haven't signed anything, but that's still and
you've got an attorney now too,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got to do everything by the book, I reckon.
I do. I got to behave and not run my mouth.
That's hard for you, ain't it?
Oh, my God. I know. I just love to talk. It's ridiculous.
Well, let's pay some bills. You can talk while we're doing that.
Okay.
Guys, if you are new tonight, we are very happy to have you. Do us a solid before you leave. Hit that subscribe button, or just go ahead and do it now so you don't forget it. If you want to become a member, you can do that too, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. But please hit that subscribe button. Help us continue to grow the show.
And if you would like to be on with Wayne and myself, you can reach out to both of us. Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com, or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com, and we can get you scheduled.
Y'all, I am 45 years old. This pimple right here is all I see while I'm looking at myself. I'm not even supposed to be looking at myself. I have other people I could be looking at, but I'm drawn right there. And why do I have a pimple?
Stress.
I don't.
Let's see. Stress can cause it. Your diet can cause it.
Oh, well, I'm screwed with both of them.
That would be why. I tell you, you just need some little concealer.
I'm a dude. I ain't got no makeup.
Honey, they put makeup on weathermen and the news.
I'm not a weatherman. I do not own any makeup.
You just do on those circular band-aids.
Yeah, I could do that.
You could do that.
All right, guys. I'm sorry about that. Head over to paranormalworldproductions.com. Check out the website. Sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter. Check out all the other shows under the studio's umbrella. All kinds of good stuff. Pick up some merch. Can't do any of that, though, unless you head over to paranormalworldproductions.com.
And if you have questions for tonight's guest, which I know you will, please just put them in all capital letters. It helps me and Wayne to be able to see them better, because sometimes this chat can get a little fast and we miss it sometimes. So if you put them in all capital letters, we are sure to grab them up, and we ask them at the end of the show in a rapid fire Q&A.
Right.
Right.
All right, y'all heard me earlier mention the membership. We've actually had a couple people sign up recently, so we're doing okay in our memberships, but we're not where we want to be. As Mr. Alex says, best $1.99 y'all can ever spend, and I agree. It's $1.99 a month. We don't have all these extra tiers, $5, $10, $20 tiers. You get everything for $1.99. We want everyone to be able to afford it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. It does one show by itself and gets a pimple.
Damn, that was a rough Saturday, huh?
Telling you, man. And it was a members only. I was just hanging out with my favorite peeps. God. Anyway, the membership, you get, like I just spoke of, the members only lives that I guess I do them by myself now since Tiffany's lazy.
Oh, you're so full of caca.
You get early access to stuff. You get to join the members only Discord, where I think it was last week we jumped on after the show and hung out on Discord in the jukebox room, played some music, chatted for a while. I don't do that as much as I would like to, but it's active, and you will have the opportunity to join that. But you can't do any of it without hitting that join button. Again, guys, it's just $1.99 a month. You can't get a Coke for that. One Coke is gone in a couple hours. 20-ounce Coke, and then that $2 is gone forever.
Gone.
$1.99 with us, you get a whole month worth of cool extra stuff. All right, lastly, before we get to our guest who is waiting patiently backstage. I don't even know what backstairs is. Upstairs, backstairs. I'm going to shut up.
Try again. Cut. Blooper reel.
You guys see at the bottom the Cash App and the Venmo. All of our regulars know what that is about. You guys have always been awesome about the super stickers and helping us out. YouTube likes to take their fees. They take a lot of fees, 30 to 40% at times. So you guys have been helping us out with the Cash App and Venmo. So if you feel so inclined to do that tonight, we would greatly appreciate it. I will let you know tomorrow will be the 20th, and we are very, very behind our normal schedule or normal regular. There you go, Goonie Goo Goo. Thank you, sir, for that super sticker. But yeah, anybody that wants to help out with the Cash App or the Venmo, we would certainly appreciate it. All right. You said before we got going tonight, you were fangirling about our guest tonight. Cut your mute off.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about Miss Amy Boo.
Well, okay, so y'all know I was a retailer. I've been a retailer for 25 years. So when you're in retail and you're picking and packing, you put your AirPods in and, okay, well, one of them, policy, I have long hair, just one of them you put in. And I was listening to her talk about Project, I always
ZooBook.
try to say, it's ZooBook. I don't know why I try to say Blue Book. I mean, we're not selling a car. This is not Kelly's Blue Book. I don't know why I do that. So I've listened to her talk about all these just fascinating things, and it just drew me in more and more and more. And so when she came on backstage, I was like, Wayne, I'm sorry. I'm fangirling for a minute, okay? Because I've only heard her in my ears, and now she's like right here.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this as well. I have heard her speak on other shows, and yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. And we're just going to jump right in and get her out. Amy, how you doing, ma'am?
Doing well. How are you?
I am just fantabulous and so glad that you are here.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, we're just going to jump right in. Ma'am, I want to hear, we're going to give you a chance to tell us all about Project ZooBook and its start and what it is exactly and everything. But before we do, I would like to know how you first became interested in the subject of Bigfoot.
Well, I always liked mysterious things and stuff, but I never really thought about Bigfoot as something that could be real. You know, we all kind of grew up with, you know, Harry and the Hendersons, or I mean, maybe you didn't grow up with it. You probably maybe watched it afterwards, but I'm older. Unsolved Mysteries and all of those things. So I knew about Bigfoot, but I didn't think it was real. It never occurred to me that it could be real until I saw something in 2012 that I still can't explain. I always say, to me, my Bigfoot origin story, if you want to call it that, is not that exciting because I'm not sure what I saw. You know, some people absolutely saw one and they know what it was and had a really good sighting. Mine was a little less, spectacular than that. But I did see something from a car when I was driving over a reservoir here in Northeast Ohio. And at that time, I had no clue that people in Ohio were saying they were seeing Bigfoot, because that just sounds ridiculous, you know, or at least it did to me back then. And I saw it. I was looking out a car window. I was not the driver, and I saw something standing along the shoreline holding onto a tree, and it seemed to be directed toward where these birds were flying around on a like a cement block that was out in the water. And you know, it doesn't take that long to get over the bridge that we were on, but I was just staring at it because I'm like, what in the world is that? It just seemed so wide in the shoulders, and I could see the shoulders. I could see the shape of it. It was standing upright. Since that time, we've had black bears occasionally in this part of northeastern Ohio. Actually more than occasionally now, but I know it wasn't a black bear like that. I know it was not, just from the stance of it. But I still have that little bit of disbelief, or that little bit of, you know, wondering, because you can't stop on that bridge and you can't stop time and rewind and go back and get a better look at it. You know, it was about 100 yards away, if I didn't say that. And we were in a moving car. So I was just kind of shocked by what I was seeing. And I know it was alive because it moved, but I didn't say anything because it was shocking until we went past it. And then I just yelled out, I think I just saw Bigfoot. And what I always say, people who know me know, I always say this, the next thought that came through my mind was, that's stupid, because there's no such thing. So my venturing into the world of Bigfoot really was to try to prove to myself that I was right, that it was stupid and there's no such thing, So I started looking into it, and pretty quickly, like within a week or so, I was absolutely floored by how many people said they were seeing these things. And, if Bigfoot is real, I would think they would be out in Washington State or, California or Alaska or whatever. But so many people near me in Ohio and Pennsylvania, Kentucky, were saying that they were seeing them. So it really intrigued me. And I, ever since, I've been on this kind of personal quest to try to figure out what's going on, what are all of these thousands of people seeing. And here I am all these years later, still just as fascinated.
Now, I think I missed it. Remind me when the original sighting was, Amy.
2012.
2012. Okay. So it's been a while.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell everybody exactly what Project ZooBook is, but before you do, what is your background? No, what is your profession? What do you do for a living?
Okay, I am a teacher. I teach reading and English right now. I've taught different things over the years, but primarily that. I used to be a grant writer, although I occasionally still do that. Before I became a teacher, I was a technical writer, so I'd write like bank machinery installation manuals and things like that. But I'd always wanted to be a teacher, so I've been a teacher for about 17 years now and still do some of the other things on the side. I'm also an Ohio certified volunteer naturalist, which I got into because of Bigfoot. There's a lot of places where you're not allowed to go, and I wanted to go there. I mean, I just admit that. So when you go through the program through Ohio State University, one of the perks is that you can get into areas that you can't otherwise. And it just so happens that some of those areas you could not get into are where a lot of Bigfoot reports are coming out of.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I love nature, and like not just Bigfoot. I love all of it.
That's one of the coolest responses I think I've ever gotten on here. You became something so that you could get more access to areas to go look for Bigfoot.
Yes.
That's very
I
smart.
mean, I just admit it. That is why I did at the end of it. Sorry, that's my cat running around with a ball, if you can hear that. But one of the things you have to do at the end of the whole program is to give a talk about something to do with nature. You learn all these different things. It's a really cool program through Ohio State University, if I didn't already say that. But I did mine on tracking, like casting tracks and different types of animal tracks. And I focused it on Sasquatch. And when I applied to be in the program, because they only take so many people every year, I said that that's what I was interested in. I was like, you know what, I'm going to say what I do and why I'm interested. And they accepted me. So, I wasn't sure if they were going to or not, but they did.
Oh, and that was through Ohio State University?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a really great program.
Awesome. All right, tell everybody about Project ZooBook. Why you decided to start it and what all you guys do.
Sure. Project ZooBook is just a really fun group that started in 2018. It kind of started accidentally when I met over the internet a few people. Well, originally just one young lady who was asking about going on an expedition, because at the time I was in the BFRO here in Ohio. And she was, kind of asking questions and stuff, and nobody was really answering her. So I had asked the person in charge, is it okay if I answer? And they said, sure. And so I private messaged her. So at the time I didn't know what she did. I didn't look at her Facebook page or anything like that. And she was just saying that she and her coworkers were interested in going on an expedition. And I was like, well, sure, you can join us. And it ended up, for one reason or another, that they couldn't go. And she was very disappointed. And I said, well, you don't have to go on an official expedition. You can just go and look for Bigfoot, look for evidence just like you would for any other type of a creature, right? I go out now as that volunteer naturalist, do a lot of different things with birds, do a lot of different things with all kinds of animals, both in Ohio and in Pennsylvania. And so you really do the same thing, right? I mean, you are looking for water. You're looking for places that other people said they've seen them, so if there's a rash of sightings in one area, maybe that's a good place to go. You're looking for footprints, you're looking for hair samples, possible hair samples, whatever it was. So I just told her, it's not a secret or anything like that, and if you want to go out, I'll take you out. And she said she and her coworkers had like a little Bigfoot lunch club that they would, talk, and they would listen to podcasts, and they would talk about Bigfoot. So it was about a week later, I think, it's been a while, that she finally told me, after we were talking about that we could, I would take them camping, and camping with a purpose and look for Bigfoot. But I also told her, don't get too excited, because I'm not the luckiest person to find any evidence, although I try really hard. But it was about a week later, I believe, that she told me that her little lunch club that is really interested in Bigfoot were all a group of zoologists, and they all worked with primates, and they all worked at a zoo. And I don't say which zoo it was, just out of respect for their privacy, because I think we all know that although we're really interested in Bigfoot, the whole world doesn't always agree. Right. And so anyway, so that kind of started it. We just started talking about things, and we would do these conference calls. So we never really saw what each other looked like or anything, but we would talk, every couple of weeks. And what I realized right away was that these people were very serious. It was fun, but they really wanted to learn more about Sasquatch and why people think that they could be real. The way that they had become interested was that she, the original young lady that I talked to, she had gone to the Expedition Bigfoot Museum in Cherry Log, Georgia with her dad, I believe it was, and just kind of thought it was going to be funny, or not, maybe not funny, but fun, but not take it seriously. But she said she was really impressed by that museum and about what, evidence or possible evidence that there was for Bigfoot. She said she just didn't have any idea that all that was going on. So when she had gone back to the zoo that she worked at the time, she's like, hey, do any of you, what do you think about Bigfoot? Do you have any opinions? And the head gorilla guy was really interested in it and kind of always had been. So that's how their little lunch club started. So anyway, they were looking to learn more. And I knew that when I first met them, that although I was really interested in Bigfoot, and at that time it was about 6 years, I guess, because I met them in 2018. So even though I read a lot of books and I learned as much as I could about the topic because I was very interested in it, I knew, number one, even though I would consider myself a citizen scientist and as a naturalist now, I know more than I ever used to about the natural world and especially animals. I knew there were people that knew a lot more than I did. So Project ZooBook kind of started by me reaching out to people that I knew in the Bigfoot world that these zoologists would be interested in, and that had something to talk about. So it was just like a little, I don't know, like a little gathering, I guess, a think tank, I guess, is what we call it. And so I started getting people in. I had friends in the Olympic Project, which I'm a member of now, but at the time I wasn't. And I contacted them and I was like, hey, I have these really cool scientists, because I wasn't used to scientists taking me seriously or taking the topic really seriously, except for like Dr. Meldrum and a few scientists. So I thought it was something special, or it could be something special. So I contacted Derek Randalls and Shane Corson from the Olympic Project. And, we started having, I guess, kind of guests come in at that point, and they would talk to the scientists. And then I think she's a second cousin, like a distant cousin of mine. I had only met her one time in my life. I knew she worked with primates. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, are you interested in this? And she was. She's like, that sounds really cool. I would love to be a part of that. So I reached out to different scientists. I only had the one relative that kind of had, she didn't have to do it, but but I reached out to different scientists in different ways and kind of brought them into the group. And then I would reach out to researchers that I really respected, and they would come into the group. And then we finally got on Zoom, so we could see each other. My really good friend, one of my best friends and research partner, Tina Sands from here in Ohio, we took a road trip to meet these zookeepers and zoologists. And, they work with chimpanzees, with gorillas, they work with macaques, all kinds of different primates. And we took a pretty long road trip to go meet them. It was kind of like, what if they don't like us? What if we don't like them? How's it going to go? It was like instant family, it felt like. And the interest that we had for what they did and the interest that they had for what we did was pretty immediate. And so it just kept growing. Like, I am the type of person, I'm not afraid to ask. Like, if there was a guest that they wanted to talk to, somebody they want to talk to, I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen is somebody could say no, right? So I reached out to different people in the more scientific side of Bigfooting, and said, hey, you want to come and on our phone call, and then a Zoom call and talk to these primate zoologists and primatologists who want to know more about Bigfoot. And almost every time people would say yes. So we just kept growing and growing. And I would say, it started with that very small group of scientists. And now if we would have all the scientists involved in ZooBook on at one time, we'd have over 40 scientists since that time. We have primatologists, wildlife biologists, marine biologists who are interested in Bigfoot, it's kind of interesting why especially our one marine biologist is interested. We have, zookeepers, we have environmentalists, we have taxonomists, we have, just all kinds of scientists who are really interested. And what I always say is that almost to a person, when we get someone to come on a Zoom call, if they don't say it out loud to us, they will say to me behind the scenes, like, I had no idea that this was going on. I didn't know that there were so many witnesses. I didn't know about the footprint evidence. I didn't know the history of Sasquatch in North America. I didn't know the whole way it ties in with our Native Americans and First Nations people, which is another favorite part of ZooBook for me. But it was just so cool how it kind of just started growing organically. And at one point, one of the Project ZooBook members just said, hey, maybe we should have a name. And it's funny that you said earlier about Blue Book, right? We did that like on purpose because we were kind of joking about it. And one of the members, he was like, well, Project Blue Book with the UFOs, the aliens and everything, that was on the down low and everything. And so we could be Project ZooBook because we started out with zookeepers and primatologists. And it was kind of a joke at first, but then I'm like, I like that, because although a lot of our scientists are what I say out of the Bigfoot closet, we have quite a few who still need to be on the down low and need to be protected because of their jobs. Because although the world seems to be getting friendlier when it comes to cryptids and Sasquatch, sometimes if you're working at a university, if you are working in certain careers, our main gorilla guy, he will say that he might not get fired, but he might have to work in the petting zoo. If he comes out and says he thinks Bigfoot could be real. So we have a mix of what we call hopeful skeptics, which I kind of include myself in that, although there are more and more days. For a long time I said that I'm a hopeful skeptic, that I'm just not entirely convinced, because I never had the smoking gun experience myself where I was sure what it was. But after talking to so many highly intelligent and highly respectable people, and I'm not just talking about educated, like the scientists and everything. I you go to wherever and you meet someone who has a high school diploma or didn't even graduate, but they're still just as educated in nature and everything like that. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Like my grandpa, for example, He's no longer with us, but he had to quit his school in like 7th grade to work in the steel mills, but he's the smartest person I ever knew. So I'm not just saying just because they're scientists I respect them, but because they're good people and because I trust them. So I guess that's what Project ZooBook is. And so we do a lot of different things with it, and it's really fun.
That is so cool. It's awesome. And Amy, as you said, everyone in there is a professional. They're scientists, intelligent people. So my question to you is, I'm trying to figure out how to word it. When I first got into the subject in 2019, I was very scientific minded as well. I still am.
Mm-hmm.
You could not convince me that these things are nothing more than a North American primate that we just don't know much about. But the more people I've talked to, the thousands of people I've interviewed at this point, they're talking about some crazy stuff. Is that stuff that you guys talk about? I want to say the woo phenomenon, really?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Here's the thing with that. Do I say this or do I not say this? I'm going to say it. One of the reasons that I got out of the BFRO, whether I make people mad about this or not, is at the time that I was in it, and I have a lot of friends still in it, but at the time when I was in it, if we got any kind of a report that was anything besides a biological creature, it did not see the light of day where I was. No, I'm not talking about the BFRO as a whole. Do I think that's wrong? Not really, because the BFRO is a science-minded organization, just like Project ZooBook is. So most of our Project ZooBook conversations are centered around science, right? But put that aside, with being a member of that organization and hearing stories that didn't fit into what we know about science, it bothered me that we just pushed it to the side. That was the biggest reason why I left. There was other reasons too, but I was like, if all of these people are seeing things that we can't explain, that doesn't mean they're stupid. That doesn't mean it's not true. It doesn't mean that it's magical or something. It could just be science. We don't know how it works yet. It could also be that there's two different things going on. I don't claim to know. I claim that my interest is, could there be a living, breathing, pooping, mating, earthly creature out there? I'm really interested in that. If there's not, am I okay with that? Yes. I feel that there really could be, and I feel that there's evidence for that. But I, first of all, know that I don't know everything and that people are having weird experiences. I've had a few weird experiences of my own. I just don't like totally blocking out someone's experience just because you can't explain it. I just think we can't explain some things yet. And I also, I had something so intelligent to say and it left my brain. But, I feel like there's a place to, and that we should listen to everyone. If something doesn't fit into your worldview or your view of a topic, doesn't mean that you have to totally disregard it. On the flip side of that, Project ZooBook is a scientifically minded group. And so we primarily are interested in knowing, could there be that primate out there? And so we don't do a lot with paranormal things and stuff like that. But as a Project ZooBook coordinator, if you want to call me that, co-founder coordinator, I'm focused on that scientific angle, like traditional scientific angle. As a human, I'm interested in all of it, and personally, I wonder if there are two different things going on.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when I hear stories that are more paranormal, I wonder if it's something other than Sasquatch, like there's a different phenomenon going on or something like that. But I never say never about it. My interest is there a traditional, if you want to say that, animal? Could that be? I really think that it could be. But I don't make fun of anybody, and I don't, I think there's room for all of that kind of thought in Bigfoot research because, one person goes down this path, somebody goes down this path, somebody's kind of in the middle, I hate the fighting about it.
Yes.
I hate calling about it and stuff, because aren't we all just wondering about this mystery, and maybe there's a little bit of truth to everything. I don't know. I just claim I do not know, and everybody should do their thing. But as far as Project ZooBook itself, it's pretty traditionally scientific minded. If we come up with nothing at the end of it, I'm okay with that. But so far, we have not come up with nothing. That makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's a great question, and I couldn't, or a great answer. I couldn't agree with you more. You're no longer affiliated with the BFRO,
I'm not.
but I was invited last year. Do you know Lori Wade?
Yes, she's
Yeah.
a great person. Yes, she's awesome.
Is a really good friend of mine.
She's awesome.
She invited me on one of her expeditions last year, and I went out and spent 4 days in the woods with them and had just an amazing time.
It's so much fun.
Yeah,
I don't have bad things to say about the BFRO as a whole.
That's what I was gonna say, because you hear these things.
Mhm.
Some people don't like them because you hear that they don't tolerate anything outside of the biological stuff. But Amy, what I figured out in those 4 days I spent with them, nothing could be further than the truth. I talked to so many people at that event.
It's changed.
Miss
It's
Lori May
changed
herself
somewhat.
that talks about weird things that they've experienced.
Yeah, it's changed a lot where people feel they can say that, and it really it's different from state to state. But that's all I'm going to say about that. But it's different from who's in charge at different levels. What they will or won't allow.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they are focused. Project ZooBook, we're focused on science. The BFRO is focused on science. So I'm not saying they have to be otherwise. I'm just saying it kind of bothered me when you're collecting stories to ignore a whole group of people. But you know what? It's not my group, and so it's fine. And there's a ton of really good people in the BFRO.
Yeah, and I mean the BFRO as a whole, the BFRO.net is such a useful tool.
Mhm.
And I tell everybody, if you're going into a new area, going to a state that you've never been to before, one of the first things I do, I pull up that state, I pull up the county I'm going to be in, and I see how many reported sightings there's been in that county. So it's useful. There's definitely a place for the
Oh, for sure.
BFR.
I think there is. I think there is.
Yeah. I mean, where do you stand personally on the kill or no kill subject?
You know, I'm definitely no kill. I partly understand why people say it's going to take a body. I mean, I do understand that it's going to take a body to be absolutely sure, especially with technology the way it is now, AI and all of that kind of thing. But I don't think it's right. I mean, what if you shoot the last Bigfoot? I personally wouldn't be able to be okay with that. I always say my dream is to find one that died peacefully in its sleep or something like that. Because I do think it's going to take a body. I just don't agree with it personally.
Yeah, again, I think you're spot on. I couldn't agree with you more. My organization that I founded, Animal Research, I will never put together an outing with the goal to go out and kill one.
Mm-mm.
A perfect scenario, we find a body
Right.
in the woods, or maybe one gets hit by a car, something like that. That would be ideal. But I agree, it's going to take a body, because I don't think photo or video proof
Yeah.
will ever do it. Because if it was, it would have been settled in 1967.
Right.
In my opinion.
I've seen really good photos. I've seen a lot of really, sketchy ones too. I'm sure you have too. But even, I don't put all of my eggs in that basket, because I don't know if what I'm seeing in a photo is legit or not. Yeah, I think it's going to have to take a body, but I don't want to be the one to bring that in unless, like you said, you just happen to find one or something.
Yeah, exactly. Now you said you were in Ohio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And have you done a lot of expeditions or field research outside of Ohio? What are some of the other places that you have and maybe had some success? What locations?
Well, I am a member of the Olympic Project. They're based out in the Olympic National Forest in Washington State. So I get out there as often as I can. So that is probably my favorite place to go. There's so much cool research being done out there. And if there's any place I've ever been that I feel like Bigfoot could walk around the corner, at any time, it would be in Washington, out in those vast forests. So I spend quite a bit of time there when I can. I'm a teacher, so it's usually in the summer, or I'm going to be going out there in January for a little bit. I go to Kentucky. I do most of my research in Pennsylvania. Even though I'm from Ohio, I live right on the border of PA. Like, I could walk to Pennsylvania from my house. So in the Allegheny National Forest is my place that I feel like the most comfortable. I've been doing a micro study of that area for years, and lots and lots of good evidence is coming out of Pennsylvania. Like I said, Kentucky, West Virginia, New York in the Adirondacks. Go out to Oregon, Montana. We a group from Project ZooBook was invited out to Montana to go to the Blackfoot Reservation a few years ago, and we did some camping right on the reservation, which was amazing. We'd seen a grizzly bear that day, that we first got there, and we were overlooking Glacier National Park. So collaborating with the Blackfoot tribe, with members of the Blackfoot tribe, was absolutely one of the best things I've ever done. So
that's awesome.
I go where they invite me, where people invite me, So
I'm so jealous. I would love an opportunity like
it's
that.
amazing. Well, my favorite part of Bigfooting is the Native American stories.
Yep.
It kind of riles me up. I do a lot of library talks and all that kind of stuff. And I always focus on how when you're looking at many known primates in Africa or Asia, that the native people who kept saying that they were there were poo-pooed for a long time. And I know that science demands evidence, and that's why I'm saying it will take a body, so to be sure. But I also know that a lot of those native people were just ignored. They were looked down on. They were not thought to be reliable, and that makes me angry. And so I feel like with all the potential evidence and eyewitness reports that we have in North America, and almost every North American tribe and nation of our indigenous people, whether in America or Canada, saying that these exist, they have different names for them, they have different stories about them. I feel like we should be listening. It wasn't long ago that the Cross River gorillas were discovered, and the billy apes were discovered, and the new orangutan species was discovered, but they weren't discovered. They were always there, and the people that lived there knew they were there. They just weren't listened to.
So many good points. So many good points. You mentioned Kentucky. What part of Kentucky? Ever go to the LBL?
I never have, not yet. That's definitely on my bucket list. I have mostly gone around the Mammoth Cave National Park area.
Yeah, see, that's another place I want to go. I've Troy, that's in the chat. He's got a couple questions lined up for you, but he and I can't.
I don't have my cheater glasses on, so I see the chat going, but I don't. I can't see what they're saying.
He and I camped there this past January for his birthday. Spent a couple of days out there and hear a lot of stories.
Oh, you do. You sure do.
Yeah. Well, speaking of these questions, we have several of them to go. Tiffany, do you have anything you want to ask?
Cheaters on so I can see you guys better.
No, I mean, just in speaking about the Native Americans who were just, not taken serious or shunned, it's similar to what's happening to us, these days. But, we had Ron Paul Tremblay on a few shows ago, and that's what he talked about, was the fact that if you want to know the origination of these animals or whatever they are, go to the source.
Yeah.
Because they've been saying it for years and years and years. But people want to try and figure it out on their own.
Right.
And then, everything is discounted that comes from them, but they were here with them.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. Can I put a plug in for my friends that
please
out there? Their names are Carrie Lynn and Leilani, and they have a YouTube channel called Pikuni Bigfoot Stories, I believe what it's called. And that's who I found them. And then we ended up collaborating. They are amazing. They are both Blackfoot ladies, and they are gathering stories from all of their tribal members about the Inamitapi, which I'm sure I butcher that name, but I do the best I can, which is their hairy man. And so when we went out there, they told us about, how the Inamitapi and the Blackfeet used to be together in different conclaves and things like that until, I'm sure I'm not saying it exactly right, but I'm kind of trying to, condense it. But until the Blackfoot tribes, depends on how far north you are, if they say Blackfoot or Blackfeet, but until they kind of started to modernize and get away from their old ways, is how I understand that the Inamitapi kind of pulled back, and now they are considered to be kind of like a guardian of the forest. But, when you hear stuff like that, I think but a lot of people are like, oh, a guardian of the forest, that's mythological or whatever. And I'm like, no, when you translate a lot of great apes' names, they're old man of the forest, hairy man, things like that. They are referred to as people. So, when I started learning about the Inumitpi and hearing this from these awesome ladies, they are great. So smart. They were telling me about how they kind of, retreated back, but they are still seen all the time. When we were out there, we went to this small store on the reservation, and the lady who ran the store was telling myself and the other members of Project ZooBook that went about how there was just one in her dumpster the other day. And then there was another gentleman that was showing us the ridge line that one had been walking on. So they're very real. They're not just moral tales or stories to them. They are very, very, very real.
Well, and I think if people did more research into the Native American side, I think they would find that you can't get on Google and just type Bigfoot. Because,
Right.
holy
So many
cow,
different names. Yeah.
right? There's
Mhm.
more than one name. And I'm afraid that that's kind of what people are doing when they're wanting to find out information. And it's like you said, there's the hairy man, the Yeti, old man of the forest, like you said. And I think people just need to start digging a little bit more than just
Yeah.
the surface.
Yeah,
Kathy Strain has an amazing book about
who's
different
that?
indigenous. Kathy Strain.
Okay.
She's oh my gosh, anthropologist, archaeologist out west, and she has an amazing book about different tribal beliefs about Bigfoot and different names and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with y'all 1,000%. That one of the best ways that we could possibly have is to learn about them is speaking to the Native Americans, in my opinion. But just like you were kind of talking, Amy, you were invited in by them, and it's been my experience that Native Americans, rightfully so, don't have a whole lot of trust in us white people.
Right.
So they don't offer up their stories.
Right. I think I don't know if I'm going to say this the right way. I'm not saying that I've been like so successful in Bigfooting. I don't mean it like bragging or anything like that. But I was going to say that I think the secret of my success I have had in talking to different people is just like being a giant dork. I don't know how else to say it. Like I just am honest about, hey, like I'm really interested in this. We're not trying to do any harm. I would like to be your friend as well. I don't want anything from you just to use you or anything like that. I feel like people in general can tell when somebody is coming from a good place.
Yeah.
So, and I just ask. I've been able to do things and kind of hook up with different tribal members from different tribes, because I just say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Just be honest. It doesn't always work, and that's okay. Nobody has to talk to me about it, but definitely, I don't blame them for being more private, especially if they want to be protective of these creatures.
Yeah. We can tell when someone's being genuine.
Mm-hmm.
As humans, we can usually tell. And I feel like if you come at someone, being genuine, they may open up to you a little more. So
I've had success. I've had a lot of success. Some of that I can't really talk about yet, but but that's my favorite part of Bigfooting is the Native American side of it, and I just have so much respect for them as a whole, as people who have not been listened to.
Absolutely. That's putting it very well. All right, let's move to some of these questions. The first one coming from our buddy Ristel. I want to know where Amy gets her energy from. Anyone that follows her Facebook knows what I mean. LOL.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have a long version and a short version of that. The short version is I don't have energy. I'm always tired. But the long version of that is I am a cancer survivor twice over, and I've dealt with some other health problems and things like that. And so where you would think maybe that would slow me down, I'm stubborn. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do while I can. I'm doing fine. So I don't mean it that way. I'm doing really well. But I'm stubborn. So if there's something I really want to do, I go for it. I feel the reason I mentioned the cancer is because I feel like you really feel your mortality when you go through something like that.
Yeah.
And so I know that I don't have all the time in the world. So if I'm going to want to do something, I need to find a way to do it. And I will find a way. I had the absolute privilege of meeting Dr. Jane Goodall when she was in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
several years ago. I was invited out there and I was like, well, I can't afford this. I work at a small inner city private school. We have a lot of homeless kids and, we're not making the big bucks as a teacher there. But I really believe if there's something you really want to do, you can find a way. So I took my first train ride out to Washington, D.C. I think it was like $25. I got like this big deal. And then I stayed in a youth hostel, but I am not young. But when you were allowed to stay there, and I'm like, okay, it was like $20 a night, so I stayed there. I had to figure out the circulator bus, and I kept going around in circles around the city because I didn't know how to get off of it. But I just will find a way to do things. So I went there. Who you're gonna find a way to do that. So if there's something I really want to do, then I will find a way to get it done.
That's inspirational as hell.
I hope so. I hope so,
really
I think people should follow their passions, whether it's Bigfoot. I have an actual bucket list that I've written down and I keep adding to it. And I would say a lot of the things have to do with Bigfoot, but a lot of them don't. So I really try to make time to go and do things that I want to do.
It's just not being afraid to take a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Just
right.
say yes. And then
yes,
figure
and
it out
I used to be afraid. Mm-hmm. I was afraid for a long time. And then all of a sudden I was not afraid. And I'm like, you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask. And there's not always, I have enough realism in me to know that not always can you do what you want to do. And life has disappointments and things like that. But there's usually a way to do it if you can find that way to do it.
And once you have that epiphany, there's no stopping you.
Right.
Yeah. I have not had it yet.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
Yeah, that epiphany happened to me, which is why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
All right, we're going to move on to Mr. T. Roy. I think this is a fantastic question. Is the group as a whole or information gleaned from the group as a whole available to the general public?
That is a good question. We have been working on a web page for a while. One of our fantastic members, she is a marine biologist who is fascinated by Bigfoot. It's a really cool story how she became interested in Bigfoot. But she has kind of taken the reins. Two of our zoologists were doing it, and they're so busy. Not that we aren't all busy, but our one marine biologist, she took over the reins of making us a new website. So it's kind of still in its infancy, but what we're planning on is having links to different types of scientists that we have. We're going to be putting more information about what we do, question and answer spots and things like that. So we have all been so kind of worried. Maybe I'm the most worried about, as the mama bear of the group, protecting our scientists that really could have a hard time if they came out of the Bigfoot closet. I always say this, and almost anytime I'm interviewed, is that a lot of their peers, a lot of people in general think we might as well be looking for Smurfs, so their professional reputations are on the line. I can't wait till the time when everybody can talk about it, but some jobs you're not there yet. And so I'm really, really protective. So it took us baby steps. There were years when Project ZooBook started that in the Bigfoot community publicly, people were saying, oh, that's Amy Boo's pretend group, and was it annoying? Yes. Was I fine with it? Yes. because it was like, okay, you think that's good. That means that nobody's trying to figure out, I'm too paranoid, but nobody's trying to figure out, because I really appreciated these scientists being willing, not just willing to talk to us, but willing to be a part of all of this, So I was worried for them. Not so much anymore. It seems we have a lot that are speaking about it more. And with Doug Hychek's Sasquatch Legend Meets Science 2, we have several of our scientists who went on camera to talk about why they're interested in Bigfoot. One of my favorite members, he is a fantastic person, number one, but he is a scientist, a herpetologist, so with snakes and all that kind of stuff. He is a filmmaker, a wildlife filmmaker as well, for very prominent, well-known entities. I'll just put that. And he saw Bigfoot. He saw one. And so he talks about it in that upcoming documentary. So I'm super excited about that. I would never have expected him to, because you can be laughed out of the room when you're a scientist. So I'm just really proud of what we're doing, and I'm proud of each individual member of our group.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being left out of the room, Troy's got another question. Do either of your projects delve into anything other than Sasquatch, such as Dogman?
Not really. I'm just going to say my own feelings about Dogman. They're scary. That's my feeling. So I can't wrap my brain around Dogman.
Yeah.
Like, as a natural creature, if there is Dogman, like Sasquatch, you can think, okay, some type of a primate somewhere, in there. Dogman would have to be paranormal, right? I mean, it have to be. And that's creepy to me. So therefore, I ignore it. I'm just being really truthful. Like, I love being out in the woods. I camp by myself now. When I first started this, I would not go out the door of a cabin. I would not. I would be afraid of the woods. Now I'll go out camping by myself. Something changed in me, that the thrill of it and the mystery of it trumps the scariness. But if I'm out looking for Bigfoot, not that Bigfoot's like Harry from Harry and the Hendersons and we're going to be best friends. I really believe that they could be as scary, dangerous if they wanted to be, as a chimp or whatever, But if you tell me there's a Dogman out there, or like worse, like a creepy puppet or something, I'm not going. I'm just too much of a chicken for it. So I am 100% not saying that there is no such thing, because I don't know.
Yeah.
And I absolutely believe in things that we can't explain. I really do. So my science mindedness in Bigfoot doesn't mean that I think there's nothing else out there, because I do. I just don't want to see it. So I'm just Bigfoot all the time.
I tend to catch some crap from our regulars because I don't know, like you, I don't know where I stand with the whole Dogman thing. If anything, I think possibly we could be looking at misidentified Bigfoots.
Well, so I've heard, some people talk about baboons have that muzzle and everything. I don't know. Like, I personally know a sitting judge who said he saw a Dogman.
Yeah, they're reputable people. That
So I'm not saying that it's not true. I just don't want to know. And if I'm in the woods, I'm like, no, because I can't go out there if I think there's Dogman. I'm just being really truthful. It's just scary to me.
Yeah, when I was doing research, when I was writing Dogman Terror in the Woods, there are so many cases. And so when I described him in the book, I was pulling pieces from these people's descriptions and meshing them together. And it's scary as hell.
It is.
Listen,
I don't want to see one of those. So I don't I don't like to think about it.
No,
Because if I think about it, I'm not going in the woods.
Yeah.
That's probably why I haven't been to Land Between the Lakes before.
All right, Bristol. Has the subject of the Olympic Project Nest site been discussed with ZooBook members? What are your thoughts? Have you visited those sites?
I have. I've been to the nest site several times. There's 2 different nest sites right now that we're working on. It's the best. Like, I was there the last time. It might not have been the last time I was there, but one of the last times I was there, Shane Corson and I were out at the one nest site, and we were, I was helping by like tagging along, and he was changing batteries and recorders and stuff. And I was standing there. I must have had like the biggest smile, like stupid looking smile on my face. And I will never forget it, because he turns around, he's like, "You look like you're having a good time." And I'm like, "This is better than Disneyland," because it's just so cool. Like, of any place I've ever been, that's where I think Bigfoot can come walking around the corner. There's a lot of crossover now at this point between the Olympic Project and Project ZooBook, because, like I said, when I first met these primatologists, I knew I wanted to get Shane and Derek talking to them, because that was, to me, the best evidence of Bigfoot that I could think of. I'm not saying it is. Nobody get mad. It's just what I admired and could think of. I wasn't a member of the OP at that point. And so we've, since the beginning, had a lot of crossover between our membership. It's an amazing place when you go out there and see what is going on with the Olympic Project.
Yeah. Mr. Joe Pat, have you experienced the orbs in the field?
I have.
Oh, wow.
I have. So there you go. Like in Kentucky, I experienced some orbs. And so I had that original, maybe, I'm not sure, sighting in 2012. And then 2018 in Southern Ohio, I had another maybe Bigfoot experience. In between, like, I've heard things, I've had some weird stuff happen. I've never had a smoking gun sighting, though. But before I and another guy saw something very large walking down a power line cut, they were like, it was drizzly rainy and there were some orbs, but it also was right near the power line. So for that one, I feel like it could have been electrical. But I have seen some weird lights, orbs in Kentucky as well. Why people automatically associate them with Bigfoot, though, is where I get, like, why do you automatically think they're Bigfoot related? Could there be? Sure, but I don't jump to that conclusion. I think it could be something else.
Okay. Troy, do you believe there have already been bodies brought forth? Do you believe the government has taken them or someone involved?
You know, if you asked me that question even a couple years ago, I would have been like, nah, I don't really think so. I think we would have known about it. I still kind of feel that way. I feel, I kind of feel that way, but I know I'm not a conspiracy theorist, really, but I am much more prone to think that there are things people know about than they're telling us than I used to be. The one marine biologist that I was talking to you about, she got involved in Project ZooBook and in the whole topic of Sasquatch, because she was told by a government agency that she and 4 wildlife biologists did not see a mountain lion where they saw it, even though they knew they saw it. They were told over and over again that they did not see one. And then finally it came out that they didn't want to have to look into it. They didn't want to have like a committee, and all of this kind of stuff. It was about money, so she was like, I wonder what else they're not telling us is out there, because they were in an area where there weren't supposed to be any mountain lions, right? So it really got her thinking, like, what else could be out there that they're just denying. And then she went down the Bigfoot rabbit hole. So do I think they have bodies? I don't know. I mean, we named ourselves after Project Blue Book, you know, and there's a lot of new evidence about aliens. So who knows? If they do, I don't know about it.
Okay.
Or do I?
Scott Trent. Do all of the different Native American people have historical records of Sasquatch that is passed down?
I am not an expert in this, but as far as I've been told, not all but most, like the huge majority have some type of stories, legends about the hairy man. But when, or whatever it is that they call them, you know, but when you get into it, it's just so much more than stories. Like you have, when we were out on the reservation for the Blackfoot, you know, we were overlooking Glacier National Park. And it was so interesting to me when you went into the park and you would talk to the rangers, all of the rangers except one were like, Bigfoot, Schmigfoot. You know, it was like, what? You got to be crazy. One was actually told us a little bit more. But on the reservation itself, it was just very matter of fact that they were real. So, you know, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah. All right, Amy, tell everybody where they can find you. If anybody has any questions or anything they want to reach out, and anything you want to promote.
Well, oh goodness. Well, I don't know if I have anything to promote right now, but you can find me on Facebook. Bigfoot Amy at gmail.com is my email. My Facebook is Amy Boo, B-U-E, but I think my maiden name of Queen is in there as well. We do have our Project ZooBook website. The Olympic Project has a website as well. And I think the new Project ZooBook website, I should know this, but I think it's either .org or .net. It's not .com. That was the old one. So we're kind of in the middle of all of it. So be patient. But yeah, if anybody ever wants to email me, I love talking to people. I love hearing stories. I love all of it.
This was awesome. This is one of the better shows we've done in a long time, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. It's so much. I learned so much tonight.
Yeah, me
thank
too.
you so
I'm a
much.
good listener. I'm a good listener. I do like to talk a lot, but I'm good at listening.
You are a good listener. I'm a good talker, but I'm not saying I say anything worth listening to. I try.
All right, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much. This was really fun. You do a good job.
Thank
you.
You. All right. Have a good one.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.
That was so cool.
That really was.
I'm on the wrong side, buddy. You gotta switch me.
Very good show.
Yeah.
Great questions.
I know.
Great questions. We've been getting some really good questions lately.
Yep, I agree.
All right. I've got a 3-year-old screaming for me. I hear her in the background. So
yeah.
I'm having to cut it short.
Well, you go forth and conquer with your 3-year-old.
All right. Say your goodbyes, ma'am.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming, and stay sweet, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Again, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for being respectful to not only us, but our guests. You always are. Thank you for everything that you do. We love you. We will see you next time. Y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.
Bye.